It is another beautiful day right here, and as usual, we are here to take you through the headlines for the day. Good morning. As a matter of fact, the place is wet. It's raining in Abuja right now, but then we have to be here because you deserve to know. And some persons are of the opinion that the protest may not go on today because of the weather, but then even yesterday, the road was not so busy with vehicular movements, but then the protest, I think it's subsiding to an extent. More details will be coming from the papers today. My name is Ramsey Enoch, and of course, Sadatu and Michael right here. Good morning, Sadatu.
Good morning, Mr. Ramsey.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning,
It's good to have you guys here.
It's good to have you here. You're absolutely outnumbered
all
as
the
usual.
time.
Absolutely. Now to the headlines for today, beginning from the Punch newspaper above the header. Reps fail to effect 50,000 naira, 50% pay cut. I take that again on page 14 of the Punch newspaper. It's been said that reps fail to effect 50% pay cut. Varsity mobilizing unqualified graduates for NYSC. That's coming from the Jump. And details read on page 14. Then that takes us to the next headline, which says CBN OK's Unity Providence Merger SEC review next. All right, details read on page 29. The big story says Russian flag. That's the kicker. Federal government probes 4 northern political bigwigs, meaning the people behind the flying and the hoisting of the Russian flag that we talked about yesterday. Some of them have been known, and the federal government is not keeping quiet about it. They are being probed. We have some riders to that story, 2 riders as a matter of fact. The first rider says, influential politicians, figures from Kaduna, Katsina, Bauchi suspected of sponsoring protests. I take that again. Influential political figures from Kaduna, Katsina, Bauchi suspected of sponsoring protests. Political figures. Remember that. Not just political figures, but influential political figures. Then the second rider says, federal government deploys operatives in Niger, Chad borders. Protest arrowheads disown Russian flag wavers. All right. Protest arrowheads disown Russian flag waves. Okay. Naira crude sale yet to happen, operators. That's on page 30 of the Punch newspaper. And finally, from the Punch newspaper, import duty waiver on rice orders begins next week. That's coming from the federal government. Let's see how that's going to help the economy. All right, over to you, Sadatu, for the next paper.
Thank you. Good morning. So we're going to look at the headlines on the national newspaper. And the first headline says, federal government inaugurates Sterling Committee for Digital Free Zone. Detail read on page 6. And then the next headline says, CBN OK's margin of Unity Providence Banks. Detail read on page 7 of the Nation newspaper. And then the next headline says, student top list of 4.68 million voters in Edo, Ondo polls. Then there's a rider to that headline that says, agency will be free and fair. Detail read on page 5. And then the next headline says, 1.4 million jobs on offer from cotton textile sector. And then the rider on that story says, revamping process begins. Detail read on page 7 of the Nation newspaper. And then the big story says, cost of living protests fizzle out in more state, Abuja. Then there's a 2 rider to that big story. Katsina, Kano, relax curfew by 12 hours. Then mobile court reminds 632 rioters. Mobile court reminds 632 rioters. And then the last story from the Nation newspaper says, Hair Insurance Group appoint Puri Irochi Executive Director. Detail read on page 7 of the Nation newspaper. And that's all we have on the Nation newspaper. Over to you, Michael.
Thank you, Sadatu. Let's move straight to the Daily News Hub of today, Wednesday, 2024. Protesters loot home of ex-Bangladesh Prime Minister. Still on this?
I saw
Other
that.
personal
I saw that
belongings.
story on social media.
That's very hilarious.
Very hilarious.
And you can
It's turned
see
into a comedy skit
you can
already.
see the protester holding the
Different kind of
something
things.
else.
Okay.
Away from that, let's move to another story on the Daily News Hub. Police arrest suspected foreign sponsors of hashtag Embark governance protest in Kano. One rider to the story. Begin trial of 800 persons. Arrest 90 over Russian flags. The big story has the kicker as hashtag Embark governance. Federal government goes after diaspora sponsors, blocks accounts, puts them on the watch list. We'll have two riders to the story. As security agencies deploy more operatives to land, borders, airports. NIS steps up surveillance to prevent foreign intervention. And the last rider, if any diaspora sponsor enters Nigeria, will be notified. He will be picked up immediately, says immigration boss. Away from that, the last story I will take are the Daily News Hub today. How to buy 50 kg bag of rice at 40,000 naira.
I think that's interesting.
Coming from the federal government.
That's interesting.
After all this while.
How to buy 50 kg of rice
at
for 40,000
naira.
It's coming from
That
federal government.
sounds like a topic of is it a project topic or
Yeah.
because it's becoming more like
It's
a project
something
now.
like that, yeah. All right, that's the package we have for the Daily News. I will move back to you, Ramsey.
Let's see where the leadership newspaper is going to be leading us this morning. As above the headers, this story is saying Bauchi governor debunks gold mining claims. Details read on page 7. APC may reinstate Ndume as Senate whip. Details read on page 7. Below the header, Obasanjo faults Tinubu's approach to fuel subsidy removal. Obasanjo faults Tinubu's approach, all right, to fuel subsidy removal. Most of the things we're facing right now is as a result of the fuel subsidy. And Obasanjo, the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is saying, well, I'm faulting it. If you want to get details, pick a copy of the leadership newspaper this morning. Let's quickly go to the big story, which says hunger protests. What's happening? Hunger protests everywhere. But the protest, I think, is coming down. That's the kicker. Hunger protests. We are after only enemies of state. That's coming from the military. We are only after enemies of state. From the military, in details read on page 4. Then the big story said 102 companies closed shop in Nigeria in 24 years. All right, two writers to that story. It's so I don't even know what to say. Let me just take the writers. Keep closing up. Keep closing up because of the fact that the economy or the environment is not conducive. Stakeholders blame harsh operating environment policies. Then the second writer says the federal government disburses single-digit interest loan to prevent industry collapse. And that's the much we'll be taking from the leadership newspaper this morning. Let's go on a quick break. When we return from that break, we'll talk about the fact that so many promises are being made in this country. But then, these promises is being made. They make these promises, but then the implementation is what is very difficult. And that has made Nigerians not to so much believe in the people in authority. We'll talk more about that after the break.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleke TV. Visit our website at www.oweleke.tv for a thrilling journey. Oweleke TV, rising star at the fairground.
Welcome back from that break. It is still Outnumbered live on your screen on this beautiful Wednesday morning. This is the time we bring to you the big story. Reps failing to implement the 50% pay cut that they promised Nigerians in July, which was supposed to reflect in their salary in July, the month of July. The salary they were supposed to be paid in the month of July was supposed to be 50%, as against them saying they want to forfeit 50% so that that can be used, all right, to cushion the effect of what Nigerians are going through, subsidy removal and other policies that was being made by this administration. But now, reps failed to effect it. And what message? Because the reason why I'm saying this is because in this part of the world, people tend not to believe in what political office holders say. Why? Because during propagandas, during political campaigns, a lot of promises are being made that has never seen the light of day. So when politicians say anything, people take time, all right, to believe what they say. And this statement came from the House of Reps, okay, without anyone forcing them, all right, to do it. But now they fail to effect it when due, for reasons only best known to them. Now, as it is right now with what Nigerians are going through, whatever you even tell them now that it is the reason, the only thing Nigerians understand, the language they understand right now, is that there is hunger and they need food. So looking at this now, we are discussing, as a matter of fact, how does it sound? How does it really sound?
Okay. For me, I'm just feeling that the politicians need to step up with their games. You already know that the people don't trust you. You just came out to make a promise, just few days to protest, nationwide protest, and then after the protest or in the middle of the protest, you're just sticking out. So I just feel they need to up their games. When you make a promise, you've made some promises that are up to date. We've not even seen the light of it. We've not even seen anything. We've not heard of it anymore. And now again, you're coming out for the second time to make promises. If they make any promises, they should ensure that it is being implemented.
Well, the promise even is such that nobody even forced them to say it.
I don't even think people even gave more ear to it, because people were just doing their thing.
But so many things were said. 20 bags of rice to states, given to state governors. People are saying they didn't say it. And reps saying 50% salary cut, not implemented. So many things were said. Okay, they said, Dangote was going to get crude and other refineries in Nigeria in Naira. All these things have not been implemented. Yesterday, it was being said, all right, by the former president Obasanjo, who is also making a statement today, that the cabals, the mafias behind this fuel of a thing, this oil of a thing, may not want this Dangote refinery to operate smoothly. And these things are happening front and back. When you say bureaucracy is the reason why this thing was not implemented, are you sure Nigerians want to understand whatever you mean by bureaucracy?
Thank God you mentioned that, because I'll break it down for them, what bureaucracy means to Nigerians. If you're watching, the noun form of bureaucracy means a system of government in which important decisions are taken by state officials instead of elected representatives. So they are saying the blame is not on us, put it on the government. And the adjective form of bureaucracy, it means excessively complicated form of administration. And when you talk about similarities, a word that is similar to bureaucracy, you can say government or administration. That means they are saying, hey, the government is the reason why we're not, because we were told that from July 18th, the reduction is meant to take effect. That means August, the reduction was supposed to have happened in the account in the month of
July.
The end of July, but then it has not taken effect, and they are saying, please blame the government. But then,
so who is the government?
But then you guys came out and told us you sat
House
down,
of Rep.
They sat down on a motion and said, hey, this motion is cushion the effect of the end hunger protest, which is about to start in August 1st. Remember, they sat in July 18 and agreed unanimously. We want to have a 50% reduction in our salaries so we can help Nigerians ameliorate their sufferings, which they are all clamoring for. And right now you're telling us blame bureaucracy. You think I don't know what bureaucracy means? No, come on.
But then,
Who is the government?
Who is
You
the
are
government? That's the question we're asking.
So
Who is the government? And
that's why, in this country, too many promises, sugar-coated promises.
Promises,
Like the
exactly.
president came out on live broadcast and is telling us about his achievement. And people are saying, right now he's talking about the import duty removal.
Wow.
That's what we need. Proactive steps that meet the needs of Nigerians. The please. Hunger is the please. People don't want to hear too many grammars or about your achievement, antecedent. You've been able to do this. Why you remove subsidy? Why are you
also,
telling
But could this be
also
happening?
noticed something about this administration. Whenever there is something that is coming up as an agitation, you just say rice. Any small thing, rice.
Because they know the people are hungry.
Is it only rice that we have in this country?
There's
Because if
hunger
there's
in the
any
land.
agitation or
What
anything
about the
that is coming
agbado
up,
and cassava?
cassava, you just
that's
say the
a
government,
promise.
the federal government
Cassava
said
gari,
rice, grain. No, grain doesn't even come in. Rice comes in on and on and on and on and on. And yes,
Well, there
we're
are so
doing
many
nothing
things,
about it.
so many
Buy the
produces
rice
in
and eat it without
Nigeria,
pepper.
so many
Because
food,
I go chop only raw
so many
rice.
food in Nigeria. But then I think the
Very
most common
exorbitant.
one is rice, and that's what everyone can lay hands on at any particular point in time. But then it's so exorbitant right now. People can't even afford it anymore,
Now
and
they're
that's
telling
what
us-
we're
they're telling
talking
us that
about.
Local rice is
there's a
now
particular
close to
place where you can access
3,000.
40,000. Yesterday we heard the news where it is just
And they said
head of the
Office of the head of the
And then it's just for public
federation.
servants. What happens
Public
to people that are
servants.
not public
Then you fill
servants?
a Google form. Then when you are qualified, you'll be
approval
They
by
will
human resource
approval.
department.
When it's been approved, then you can buy. But
can't
then
buy with the
I don't know if
finished
it is actually for civil servants alone. But the bottom line is, well, if you want to say bureaucracy, if you want to say government, when you write, all right, we know some of this. Nigerians are very intelligent people. So sometimes when you're speaking to Nigerians, they will just look at you and they will laugh. When you say bureaucracy, I think so many things will come to mind. If you say my salary, it is your salary. Okay, when you were paid, why not just put the money together? If there was a mistake and you were paid and it was not implemented from source, is there anything
for
bad
further
if you
actions.
all put up an account and sent the money in there and said, okay, this is what we promise Nigerians. Whatever it can be used for, it should be used for it
And accounted for.
accounted for, and put people in charge to supervise the process. This is to say the government is listening, and those of you who are representing your various constituencies are also playing your part. But coming out to say since July 18th, and today we're hearing that because of bureaucracy, it didn't happen. Well, August is here. Let's see if bureaucracy is going to be tackled before the payment of August salary. Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you, Sadatu.
You're welcome.
Thank you, viewers, for being there. Always stay on the channel for more details, okay? More entertainment, more news, and of course, informations will be coming on your way. My name is Ramsey Enoch. Bye-bye for now.